Imagine you are driving to a new restaurant on the other side of town. Your phone loses service, the GPS screen freezes, and suddenly you are completely lost. Panic sets in. You have no idea which way is north, south, east, or west. For us, losing a digital map feels like losing our sense of direction entirely. We feel helpless. But imagine waking up 70,000 years ago. There are no roads, no street signs, no smartphones, and absolutely no maps to guide you. Yet, our early ancestors routinely traveled hundreds, sometimes even thousands of miles across uncharted, highly dangerous territories. They crossed scorching deserts, scaled freezing mountains, and navigated vast open oceans without ever getting hopelessly lost. How did they do it? How did early humans navigate a wild, unforgiving world relying on nothing but their senses and their surroundings? The answer reveals a deep, almost magical connection to nature that we have completely forgotten today. In the ancient world, getting lost was not just an inconvenience, it was a death sentence. Wandering away from your tribe or losing your path to the local water source meant facing starvation, dehydration, or becoming a meal for a saber-toothed tiger. Because the stakes were so incredibly high, the human brain evolved to become a master of spatial awareness. Deep inside your brain is a structure called the hippocampus. It is responsible for memory and navigation. In early humans, this part of the brain was working in overdrive every single second of the day. They were constantly building an enormous, highly detailed three-dimensional mental map of their environment. Every rock, every tree, every dip in the valley was logged into their memory with precise detail. Today, because we outsource all of our navigation to our cell phones, our hippocampus does not have to work nearly as hard. But for our ancestors, a sharp mental map was their most valuable survival tool. To understand how they built these maps, you have to look up. Today, we barely notice the night sky thanks to artificial city lights, but for early humans, the sky was the ultimate, unchanging compass. They realized very quickly that while everything on the ground was subject to change from weather or seasons, the sky followed a strict, predictable pattern. The sun always rose in the general direction of the east and set in the west. By observing the length and direction of shadows throughout the day, early humans could easily determine their exact heading. But what happened when the sun went down and darkness took over? The night sky was actually even more useful. Ancient humans became master astronomers out of pure necessity. They noticed that certain clusters of stars moved across the night sky in a predictable arc, while others seemed to stay perfectly fixed in place. In the northern hemisphere, finding the North Star provided a constant, unwavering anchor in the pitch black. If you could locate that one star, you always knew exactly where you were facing. Entire generations were taught how to read the constellations not just as mythological stories, but as vital survival blueprints. A specific star appearing just above the horizon at a certain time of year might mean it was time to migrate south before winter arrived, or that a safe mountain pass was straight ahead. They memorized the sky the exact same way we memorize our local neighborhood streets. But the sky was only half of the equation. When heavy clouds covered the stars, or violent storms rolled in, early humans had to look down and read the earth itself. Today, we might look at a forest and just see a bunch of random trees, but an ancient human saw a highly detailed landscape full of clear signposts. They paid incredibly close attention to the wind. In many regions of the world, prevailing winds blow consistently from one specific direction during certain seasons. By feeling the wind on their faces or watching the way tall grass bent in the breeze, our ancestors could maintain a perfectly straight line of travel even in the thickest, most blinding fog. They also studied plants and trees with intense focus. They noticed that moss tends to grow thicker on the shaded side of a tree trunk, which in the northern hemisphere is usually the north side. They noticed the way certain flowers bloomed facing the morning sun, providing constant, subtle directional cues. Rivers were the original superhighways of the ancient world. Following a river downstream almost always led to a larger body of water or a fertile valley, providing both a clear, impossible-to-miss path and a guaranteed source of hydration. Ancient humans built their mental maps based on massive geological landmarks. A strangely shaped boulder, an unusually tall tree, or a distant, jagged mountain peak were used as permanent anchor points. They did not think in terms of miles or kilometers like we do. They thought in terms of experiences and physical milestones. A destination was not 10 miles away. It was 3 river crossings and 1 steep hill away. Perhaps the most surprising navigational tool early humans used was the animal kingdom itself. Animals are born with an incredible, innate sense of direction, driven by ancient migration patterns and the constant search for food. Ancient humans quickly realized that if they simply paid attention, the animals would show them exactly where to go. Birds, for example, fly in very specific, predictable directions during seasonal migrations. Following the flight path of a flock of birds could lead a wandering, thirsty tribe straight to a warmer climate or a hidden freshwater lake. Animal tracks on the ground not only led to potential food, but they often converged at natural water holes or safe crossing points over a treacherous river. By studying the dirt trails left behind by migrating deer, mammoths, or wild horses, early humans could easily find the safest, most efficient routes through deadly terrain. They essentially borrowed the geographical genius of the very animals they hunted. You might be wondering how all of this incredibly complex geographical knowledge was preserved and passed down without any written language, books, or physical maps to look at. The answer lies around the campfire. Storytelling was the ancient world's version of a GPS download. Elders of the tribe would weave complex navigational instructions directly into their myths, legends, and songs. A thrilling story about a legendary hero traveling across the land to battle a terrifying monster was often just a cleverly coded map. The lyrics of a song would describe the exact sequence of landmarks, river bends, and mountain peaks a person needed to pass to reach a neighboring tribe safely. In some ancient cultures, particularly among the indigenous peoples of Australia, these were known as songlines. By singing the specific song, a traveler could walk for weeks across a completely featureless desert and know exactly where they were going. The rhythm of the song would even match the pace of their walking. If you ever forgot the route, you just had to remember the melody. This beautiful oral tradition created a collective mental map that was shared by the entire tribe. Navigation was not just an individual skill, it was a massive, communal database of knowledge that was heavily guarded and deeply respected. As human ambition grew, they eventually faced the ultimate navigational nightmare, the open ocean. With no mountains, no trees, no animal footprints to follow, and no visible land in sight, stepping onto a small wooden boat seemed like an absolute death sentence. Yet, ancient humans successfully populated remote, tiny islands scattered across the vast Pacific Ocean thousands of years before the invention of the magnetic compass. They achieved this impossible feat by learning to read the water itself. Master navigators could actually feel the subtle differences in the ocean swells bouncing back from invisible, distant islands just by sitting in their canoes. They observed the changing color of the water, the specific types of fish swimming by, and the behavior of certain birds that flew out to sea to hunt in the morning and returned to land at dusk. If you followed the birds at sunset, you found land. They navigated by becoming entirely one with their harsh environment. Today, we have largely traded this profound, beautiful connection to nature for modern convenience. We happily outsource our sense of direction to satellites floating in space and glowing digital screens resting in our pockets. We rarely look up at the stars to find our way in the dark, and we no longer need to read the wind or memorize the shape of the hills around our homes. Our brains no longer need to build massive mental maps just to survive the day. But the next time your phone battery dies and you feel that brief, terrifying moment of panic setting in, take a deep breath and look around you. Remember that you carry the exact same brain and the exact same legacy of the greatest, most fearless navigators the world has ever seen. The innate ability to find your way is quite literally woven into your DNA.